Alarm bells are ringing across the Middle East following explosive new claims surfacing from Iran about a confrontation in the skies that may represent one of the most provocative moments yet in the deepening standoff between Tehran and Tel Aviv. According to Iranian sources and reports spreading rapidly through regional channels, Iranian air defense units allegedly detected and engaged two Israeli fighter jets that were said to be closing in on a heavily fortified underground installation believed to be linked to senior Iranian leadership. The aircraft, identified in Iranian statements as Israeli F-15 long-range strike jets, were reportedly executing a deep penetration mission toward what Iranian commanders describe as a classified subterranean command facility. That target, according to accounts emerging from Tehran, was considered an asset of the highest strategic value by the approaching aircraft. Iranian military commentators assert that advanced surveillance and tracking systems identified the jets as they pushed deeper into Iranian airspace during what officials characterize as a deliberate covert strike operation. The situation, according to Iranian military sources, escalated within moments and triggered an immediate and forceful defensive response from Iranian air defense battalions positioned across the region. Before we examine exactly what Iran claims unfolded during this tense aerial engagement, how the jets were reportedly tracked and destroyed, and why this story is sending shockwaves through global security circles, hit like and subscribe so you never miss a major geopolitical breakdown. According to Iranian accounts, the sequence of events began when long-range radar installations positioned along Iran's western defense corridor detected two fast-moving aerial contacts closing in at high velocity. Iran's layered air defense network reportedly activated its tracking protocols the moment the contacts registered on surveillance screens. Defense analysts familiar with such systems describe them as highly sophisticated platforms engineered to maintain continuous airspace coverage and flag potential threats well before they penetrate defended zones. Iranian sources indicate that as the aircraft continued their approach, trained defense operators analyzed the radar signatures and identified the contacts as Israeli F-15 long-range strike jets, platforms widely recognized for their exceptional operational range and capacity to deliver heavy precision munitions across vast distances. These aircraft have long been considered a cornerstone of Israel's deep strike aviation doctrine, engineered to conduct missions far beyond conventional combat ranges while carrying advanced guided weapon systems capable of penetrating hardened targets. According to Iranian claims, the jets were maintaining high speed and were reportedly vectoring directly toward a location that Iranian commanders describe as a classified underground command installation connected to senior Iranian leadership structures. Iranian state media reports indicate that this facility is understood to be one node within a broader network of subterranean fortifications constructed to shelter key figures and critical command functions during periods of acute national crisis. These installations are typically engineered with reinforced walls and deep underground positioning to absorb the impact of conventional strikes. Yet Iranian officials assert that the incoming aircraft were potentially armed with specialized penetrating munitions intended to defeat such hardened defenses. The moment the approaching jets were formally designated as hostile contacts, Iranian air defense battalions reportedly transitioned into full combat readiness without delay. According to Iranian military statements, defense coordination centers immediately began processing the flight data of the incoming aircraft, calculating speed, altitude, heading, and estimated time to target as senior commanders evaluated the severity of the unfolding threat. The reported objective, a fortified underground facility of exceptional strategic significance, was assessed as an asset that Iranian forces were obligated to defend at all costs. Iranian officials emphasized that any successful strike against such a location would carry consequences far beyond a conventional military exchange. As the jets continued closing on the defended perimeter, surface-to-air missile batteries spread across multiple defensive positions were elevated to immediate launch readiness. Tracking operators maintained continuous radar lock on both contacts as they pushed forward. Within moments, Iranian sources claim that intercept missiles were fired toward the approaching aircraft with the explicit objective of neutralizing them before they could release their weapons payload against the target facility. What followed, according to the narrative now dominating Iranian state and regional media, was a swift and decisive mid-air engagement. Iranian defense officials claim that the surface-to-air missiles successfully closed on both Israeli aircraft while they were still several kilometers from their intended target. According to Iranian accounts, the missiles connected with the jets during their final approach phase, triggering what commentators described as visible aerial explosions that lit up the sky above the engagement zone. Iranian military sources assert that both aircraft sustained critical damage during the interception, with the pilots reportedly thrown into an immediate emergency as their aircraft lost structural integrity at high altitude. Several reports circulating through Iranian channels describe witnesses observing debris descending from the sky across the area where the engagement reportedly took place. Independent verification of these specific claims has not emerged, and precise details surrounding the ultimate fate of the aircraft and their crews remain unconfirmed at this stage. Iranian officials have nevertheless moved quickly to frame the reported engagement as definitive evidence that their national air defense architecture is fully capable of identifying and neutralizing advanced strike aircraft before they can execute their missions. They argue that the reported attempt to strike an underground leadership facility underscores the extreme level of hostility currently characterizing the broader confrontation between Iran and Israel. The account has propagated rapidly across regional media platforms precisely because of the profound strategic implications embedded within it. A confirmed engagement involving Israeli strike jets targeting a fortified Iranian command bunker would constitute a dramatic escalation in the long-running covert conflict between the two nations. Tension across regional airspace has been building steadily as both sides maintain intensive surveillance of each other's military movements and intentions. Defense analysts observing the situation note that deep penetration missions of this nature demand exhaustive planning, precise coordination between multiple units, and sophisticated electronic warfare support to suppress enemy detection systems. Aircraft executing such missions typically depend on a combination of low observable flight profiles, electronic jamming, and high-speed ingress to minimize exposure to hostile radar networks. Yet, according to Iranian officials, their surveillance systems acquired the incoming contacts with sufficient early warning to mount a successful intercept response. Iranian commentators have seized upon the reported outcome as a powerful demonstration of how mature surface-to-air missile networks can neutralize even the most capable offensive aviation platforms when properly integrated and commanded. Iranian defense leadership maintains that securing critical underground facilities against aerial attack remains an unwavering national defense priority, and that the reported interception validates the doctrine and investment behind their layered air defense strategy. At the same time, experienced observers stress that statements emerging during periods of heightened military confrontation demand rigorous independent scrutiny before any firm conclusions can be drawn. In conflicts defined by advanced weapons technology, overlapping intelligence operations, and deeply embedded strategic rivalries, each side carries strong incentives to shape the information environment in ways that reinforce their own narrative. Yet despite the absence of independent confirmation, the account of the alleged aerial engagement has commanded extraordinary attention because of the sheer intensity of the scenario it places before the world. 2 Israeli strike jets cutting through hostile airspace toward a buried command facility. Iranian radar operators watching the contacts close on their screens in real time. Interceptor missiles climbing into the sky in a race against seconds to stop the incoming aircraft. And a violent mid-air collision of offense and defense playing out at supersonic speed above a region already stretched to the edge of its tolerance. If the assertions put forward by Iranian sources carried genuine substance, the incident would rank among the most consequential and dangerous aerial engagements documented in this part of the world in living memory. The wider backdrop against which this reported confrontation has unfolded is the deeply entrenched and long-running strategic conflict between Iran and Israel. Both nations have repeatedly accused the other of orchestrating covert sabotage missions, sustained cyber intrusion campaigns, and direct strikes against military and nuclear infrastructure. Against this backdrop of sustained hostility and mutual suspicion, any reported episode involving fighter aircraft and active missile defense systems carries the potential to ignite a far broader escalation. Iranian leadership has leveraged the reported interception as an opportunity to project an image of defensive strength and operational readiness. Officials insist that their forces maintain unbroken vigilance across all potential threat vectors and are fully prepared to respond to any aerial incursion with overwhelming defensive force. According to Iranian commentary, the reported destruction of the two approaching jets delivers an unambiguous signal to any adversary considering a strike against Iranian sovereign territory or protected strategic assets. Defense analysts, meanwhile, observe that the reported incident illuminates the relentless and evolving technological competition between modern offensive air power and sophisticated ground-based air defense architecture. Platforms like the F-15 represent the pinnacle of long-range strike aviation, engineered to defeat detection and deliver precision munitions against hardened targets deep inside defended territory. Yet advanced surface-to-air missile networks, when properly networked and commanded, present a genuine and potentially decisive threat, even to the most capable strike aircraft in any inventory. As the full picture of what occurred continues to develop, the international community will be monitoring every emerging detail with acute attention. The claims surrounding this reported engagement have etched another defining moment into the volatile and unpredictable confrontation reshaping the Middle East. What unfolds next will carry consequences extending well beyond any single engagement in the sky